Good evening to everyone. I hope everything start with the introduction. Editing is probably the most important part of the filmmaking process that automatically makes the editor important artist in the film. The editor possesses immense power and great responsibilities that decides the whole quality of the film. But unfortunately, editors are not always appreciated enough, and they are not given enough credit for their role in the filmmaking process. So, in an minuscule but an honest attempt to make up for that, we have invited our today's guest, who is one of the most influential and one of the most essential editors working in our times. You might know her from her films, namely Hasee to Phasee, Newton, Superman of Malegaon, Bhosle, Tracing Falke, and of course, Gangs of Wasseypur. Please welcome Shweta Venkat Matthew. We wholeheartedly welcome you to our VFS Talks Mega Weekend episode.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you. So before,
I,
yes,
I'm all of you engineering students, is it? I'm so sorry.
Yes, ma'am.
yes,
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 ma'am.
we are.
My, my mom will be very proud that I'm interacting with you guys because that is something I didn't do.
We're very glad we could. Thank you, ma'am. So before we start with the questions, I would like to, the host would like to introduce themselves along with the favorite films that we admire of yours. So I'll go first. I am Sarthak Dubey. I'm the creative head of VIT Film Society, and I work as a scriptwriter. And my favorite film of yours is Hasee to Phasee.
Yeah, so my name is Saloni Hazela. I'm also a coordinator for the VFS Talks that we're hosting today, and I'm also a major Hasee to Phasee fan.
Hello, my name is Nithin K. I'm also the coordinator for VFS Talks today. I'm also a scriptwriter and director in VIT Film Society. My favorite film of yours and one of my favorite Indian films of all time is Newton.
Thank you. I'm very happy with the unusual choices. These are not the choices that I generally come across.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, ma'am. So I'll start with the first question. What was the last film that you worked on that had an immense effect on your life personally, that made you see things in a different way and that made changed you personally?
It's very difficult to say, but I think uh, almost every film, you take away something. You can't really pick and choose. So something or the other you take away, good or bad from every film. So it changed me as a person. I think the one film that really had a very like, deep impact was Newton, and not because of the script and what Newton, the character, and of course the politics of the film, but that one sentence, one dialogue in Newton, which changed mine, not only mine, but many people I know, their lives as well. It's when when Newton is sitting with his that senior guy, played by Sanjay Mishra in the cafe in the restaurant. There, he tells Newton, "Ki you suffer from imandari ka ghamand," right? So that really hit home, and I feel that is something we all suffer from at some subconscious level or the other. So yeah, thought wise, that I really took away a lot from that, and I keep consciously trying to tell myself, even when at work, off work, to kind of always be conscious of the fact that let's not kind of climb, like, let's not float in the clouds. Let's just be grounded, and let's just be like keep our feet on earth. So yeah.
That was one of the most amazing parts of that film, that
Yeah,
monologue.
the dialogue, but the dialogue, especially that one line, was just so
Yeah.
amazing. It hit home.
So, ma'am, you have been in the filmmaking field for nearly 20 years now. Can you tell us how you started off in this journey and what drew you into filmmaking? And how did you particularly realize that out of all the aspects in filmmaking, editing was your strength?
uh, it's actually very embarrassing to start because when I finished my school 12th and all, and I obviously didn't have the required what do you call percentage to get through to any college or in terms of any engineering, so forget it. My brother is an IITN, so the benchmark was really high. Bars are set very high in the house. He's an IIT, and then he's an IITN and an IIM, and all that. All the boxes are ticked. So it was very difficult, and I realized from very early on it's not going to happen. So then I kind of took a year of trying to figure what to do. Fortunately, I had the privilege of doing that. I thought I'll figure out what to do. And those days, like right now, you have these BMM courses and all. No, those days there were no BMM courses. Those days there was just mass communication, or there was engineering, or there was medicine. So there was no like you can't pick and choose. Or there was computer sciences. So everybody was like doing something or the other. So I thought maybe I'll get into journalism. I just happened to write FTI exam, and everything just happened by chance. I wasn't even sure whether I wanted to be an editor. I went in, I got through. That was the only entrance exam I cleared somehow. But now when I look back, I realized that I was quite a movie buff. And by movie buff, not these, deep, thoughtful movies or these intellectual movies. Those times, the only movies that were made were those 90s ka films. There was either the biggest hero was Shah Rukh Khan, then Amir Khan, then Rishi Kapoor. So I've been fed of all these normal commercial cinema. Then Mani Ratnam, and then the other people were, just on the fringes. So I was crazy about films, but I didn't realize that could be translated into a career, which the institute helped me realize. There is something called direction, editing, sound, and whatever. And I remember when I went for the interview, I just asked which is the department that I'll get a job in, because I wasn't sure, what to pick. Because I had a very MBA mentality. Like I want a job at the end of the day. So people told me the directors don't get a job. Then cameraman, you need to know physics very well, and lighting to understand lighting and all that. I was very bad in physics, hopeless. Then for sound, you need to again know physics very well. Again, hopeless. Editing was the only thing, and I happened to stumble upon it. But I started enjoying editing only when I started working professionally. That is when I realized, okay, this is something possibly I can do. And it took off from there.
Okay, ma'am. But even as engineers, we all aspire to reach the level that you are at right now. So ma'am, you're an inspiration to us
it is
in that way.
surreal. I have 2 boys now, and my one boy is now, he's going to be in 10th soon, and we already started to think it is criminal, but it is so, we're just like, these are things we couldn't do. And, I had taken a workshop in BITS Pilani about a couple of years back. So for me, it was like, I felt I was the one who was, feeling very intimidated going to these campuses, because it's very surreal. Something which you think is the coolest thing. Now you're on the other side, and I can't tell you how nervous I am. I'm absolutely nervous interacting with you guys.
No, I'm the feeling it goes both ways. Trust us.
Not at all.
So, ma'am, you've also worked on a variety of different genres. So, what's the difference in the editing process when you're editing a light romance like Hasee to Phasee versus a violent drama like Gangs of Wasseypur?
Hasee to Phasee was more difficult to edit.
Oh, really?
Than Gangs of Wasseypur, though of course it was spread across 2 films and the world was new, but the actors were so fabulous. In Hasee to Phasee, there were 2 things. The actors, not to take away the credit, but they were not the kind of actors, spontaneous actors that you had in Gangs of Wasseypur. Not necessarily the best actors. So it is very difficult when the actor doesn't deliver to edit, So you have to make sure you actually, half your time goes in protecting their performances to make sure they don't come across as silly. Add to that, Hasee to Phasee was directed by my husband. So, golden rule in life is never to work with your partner or your spouse. It is not going to do anyone any good. So it was very difficult. The approach to editing both these kind of films is almost the same. The workflow is the same. The approach is the same. One just needs to understand what the story is, and and stay true to that. Yeah.
Okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, I just wanted to say that the way that you've edited Meeta and Hasee to Phasee, it's so good. She doesn't come across as a caricature at all, especially, since she's suffering from those mental problems. And we've seen films in which they it's just kind of offensive the way that they come across. But in Hasee to Phasee, Like it's done so well. So yeah, I
I'm
just wanted
telling
to
you,
say.
my husband should have been here. He'll be so happy hearing it because what happens here as a director, also, it got a very mixed response, commercially mixed response, but eventually it picked up. People started watching it when it got released on whatever several OTTs and all that. So he is of the opinion that not many people like the film. So he'll be very happy to hear this.
So movies get traction later on, like after 10 years, they
Yeah, yeah.
become a cult status. I think Hasee is going to
Yeah,
be that movie.
unfortunately, that's he's saying my life is like that. I get only recognized 10 years later. I mean, a lot of people started watching Hasee to Phasee on the flight, you know. So then
Huh.
eventually we called it the airplane film. Like, and nobody went to the theaters. Everybody saw it on the flight, and then you said, "Hey, it's not bad, yeah, it's okay." I said, "Yeah, it's not bad. I should have seen it." So, yeah.
So ma'am, when you started as an editor, what were the challenges that you faced initially?
See, there was the challenge was from within. Yeah. It was basically when you don't know if this is what you want to do, that is the biggest challenge. That if you push yourself, you keep on. I wouldn't say challenges, but yeah, it was for whatever it's worth. You need to prove yourself, and it becomes even harder when you are a girl or a woman, to prove yourself in a field which is kind of not really explored. Right now we have a lot of women in this area. That time it was still, we had one or two editors whom we could count it at fingertips, who could co-editing. So to prove yourself, for people to be able to look beyond you and recognize you for your ability to do something, that was a little tricky. But apart from that, there were no challenges. There were the usual challenges of like parents, fighting with parents, having to come home late, trying to convince them that what you're doing is something noble and something not as atrocious as it seems to be. So, yeah, I don't think.
Okay, ma'am. Yeah. So ma'am, was there any particular memorable scene from a movie that you edited but you weren't able to include in the final take?
Which tell me a film. Every film has something or the other.
Okay, so let's say Gangs of Wasseypur then.
Gangs of Wasseypur, I don't think there were any deleted scenes. I think every scene was there in
Oh,
Gangs of Wasseypur. We were like falling short of footage. But now, since you mentioned it, Hasee to Phasee had a very important scene.
mm-hmm.
Since you know Hasee, so in the last, the scene where the sister, I think Karishma and Meeta are talking on the terrace, and Nikhil
Yeah,
comes,
yeah.
and she tells him that, why don't you tell her, or something like that. And
Yeah, yeah.
that scene initially was a very different scene. No, actually, no. It didn't have the sister. He comes to meet Meeta on the terrace, and she tells him, "Why don't you tell her?" Right?
Yes, yes. Yeah, yeah.
The drives off, and before that whole Manchala song happens.
Mm-hmm.
Before that, there was a scene in that conversation in the terrace. There is actually in the original draft, there is also the sister standing there. You know, So right now, if you see the sisters now, right now it's only a conversation between Pariniti and Siddharth. But there is a sister also standing there in the original draft had a sister there on the terrace as well, and there was an interaction between the three of them where Meeta tells her sister, "Do you know that he loves me?" So and she's like aghast. She says, "What's happening between both of you?" And then there's a full cat fight that goes on, and the sister walks out, and then Nikhil walks out, and Meeta's left there alone. So while we were editing that, we felt that Meeta came across as a very tantrumy person. It's just she's supposed to be the soft. You're supposed to feel bad for her. But in this case, what was happening was Meeta became very like tantrumy, saying that no, this is my man. You can't marry him. It became very like a very strange situation. So we edited the scene in such a way that we completely cut off the sister, so it doesn't look like the sister's there at all in that conversation. So that was one of the very tricky scenes where we completely eliminated an entire character from a conversation, which is very crucial at that time. Apart from that, Newton, we edited out a lot of scenes in the uh, booth. there were a lot of these Raghuveer Yadav's. There were more jokes, in fact, when there's this entire scene of him watching a porn film and all that. So we completely removed that, which was, I think, the director was very clear that he didn't want to push the humor too much. So yeah. There are a lot of scenes that it was.
Yeah, okay, ma'am. So yeah, the Hasee the Phasee scene, I remember the one that you're talking about. Yes.
Yeah, there is another character standing out of frame. You want to see?
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, okay, ma'am. So, ma'am, you've done both like Meri Pyari Bindu and Hasina Dilruba, and in both of these films, like the film oscillates between the present and the past. So, what was it like editing a non-linear film the second time around, especially since, like in Hasina Dilruba, we get like the female protagonist point of view as well. Like I think you'd earlier remarked that Meri Pyari Bindu was a little difficult to edit because we don't get Bindu's point of view at all.
yeah, yeah. It was because see, in Hasee to Phasee, the flashback was not supposed to happen. It was there was no flashback. Then we got this idea of flashback because the beginning was becoming too long. So we then moved one scene in between when she's in the car. The slap happens. So that was a decision at the edit. So it wasn't written in a flashback kind of a leaping between timelines kind of a way. In Haseen Dilruba, it was more difficult because again, um, I'm forgetting what the script was. In Haseen also it wasn't linear. No, it wasn't going between timelines. So what happened was in Haseen, they shot one part of the chunk. The chunk in Haridwar. They shot in Jwalapur. They shot it, and then the lockdown happened. When the lockdown happened, that is when we were editing most of the other scenes. We realized that there could be an issue in terms of comprehension. So we added a lot of scenes in terms of where we could go back and forth. So it wasn't supposed to be that also wasn't supposed to be jumping between timelines. So it was re-scripted. So which other film? No, I think that those were the only two films that went back in time. I think.
Yeah, yes, ma'am. But I think in Haseen Dilruba, it actually added to the story. Like it was fun to see like who's telling the truth and who's lying and all. So yeah,
But
that was like a
in
good
fact,
change.
Wasseypur also jumps between times in between.
Okay,
It
yeah.
was no. Actually, Wasseypur ulta happened. Wasseypur was supposed to jump between times. So the first part you see was all a story of Manoj Bajpayee, Nawazuddin, and the second part was supposed to be the childhood. It was supposed to be a prequel, but when we were editing, we realized it's not going to work out. So then we made it linear. So then we realized let's not jump back in time. Let's just make it linear. So the reverse happened in Wasseypur.
Oh, okay, that's very interesting to see like how in the editing process the entire script sort of just changes like in one place.
So, ma'am, I was recently fortunate enough to revisit Superman of Malegaon. I remember it seeing in my sixth grade when I was in school. I saw the documentary for the first time, and it was such a unique, iconic experience. I hadn't seen something like that in my life since then. But so it was a story about a man obsessed with telling a comedy picture. But the interesting thing I found was this documentary itself is shot like a comedy, and I thought it was mostly thanks to the way the film is edited. Like there was some many hilarious inserts that were going on, minute inserts. For example, when the Superman climbs the telephone pole, you immediately cut to a shot of Sonia Gandhi's poster waving at him. Things like that were really really clever. So I wanted to ask, was that a pre-planned thing, or was that something you what do you say discovered while you were editing the scene? Like you had said that there were 300 footages or something
Yeah.
for Superman. So I wanted to ask you whether it was planned or spontaneous.
No, everything was spontaneous. They just kept shooting. So in documentaries, what happens is that nobody really plans unless and until it's interviews, right? Nobody really plans what they shoot. And in this case, especially Faiza, the director, did not know what she was going to capture. I was told that it's going to be a small documentary. They're going to send me footage. It will not be more than 3-4 hours of footage, which has to be cut down to a 1 hour documentary. The first set of rushes came. It was almost 75 hours. That's a shit. But again, going through these footage, then you really see how you can juxtapose one shot with the other. And like you're saying that, I honestly I don't remember why Sonia Gandhi comes after that. I should revisit it. It wasn't what you derived out of this particular juxtaposition was possibly very different from what I would have had in mind when I put so sorry when I had edited it. I hadn't thought of it this way. I don't remember what I thought, but definitely this was not my intention while I was editing it. It was something else, and I'm forgetting what it is. But yeah, I mean, a lot of it was like, we had like a 2 hour cut, and we had to bring it down to 57 minutes to be precise because the producers wanted it. And we didn't want to make fun of those people because they take themselves so seriously, right? So we had to be very, very careful about how we portrayed them. And there were many, many, many other stories, like when the girl arrives, the heroine arrives, and there's an entire track on her where she's talking to her boyfriend, which we completely cut off because that time we didn't again want to. We had to be very, very fair to them also as filmmakers. So and that was my most exhausting and most fulfilling project because it took the life out of me. But I mean, to at the risk of sounding immodest, I think I'm really proud of that particular film because it also taught us a lot. It also taught us as to how how we take ourselves so seriously. But look at these people. They are doing such fabulous work with such limited means, and because the passion is driving them. So yeah, but yeah, you're right. A lot of it was also constructed, like why this comes after, things like that was there was some thought to it, but I don't remember because it's been so long back now.
There was also one scene where the camera falls in the water, and you
Oh,
immediately
actually,
cut to,
that
yeah.
camera fell in the water. In reality, it fell in the water on the third day of the shoot, of their shoot. But if we had stayed true to that, then it would have become boring. So we decided to delay that moment. So we let them shoot a little bit, and then the camera falls, and you feel like, oh God, they've come this far. So that was a little bit of a liberty that we took, but and it was so satisfying to see the reaction of the audience in the theater because all of them collectively went, "Oh shit!" So we went the camera, and it fell so quickly. So I slowed down the little bit of when the camera slips out of the hand. I slow down that portion so that it just you feel that exaggerated moment.
Yeah,
So
at the same time, you cut to Shafiq stuck in the river. That was that
yeah,
was very
that
hilarious.
actually happened. But see, that's what in these cases it's very important for the cameraman present to capture everything possible. So there were two cameramen. One was capturing what is happening with Nasir. The other one was stuck on Shafiq. Like he was just looking at, the camera was just on him. And the poor guy, when you see the rushes, you're seeing like camera A and camera B. And then sometimes you know that the cameraman is trying to tell you because see, as editors, we are not on the set. Not many of us are on the set, and I don't like going to the set that much. In this case, I had to understand the area. I had to understand Malegaon as a city. I had to understand the people, right? In order to do justice to the film. So when I saw the Russian, I said, "This has to be it." And sometimes when you're editing two scenes, you realize this is going to be a final cut. You're not going to do any changes to that. So that sequence, I didn't touch. The first cut was what you see on the in the film. So yeah.
Amazing, ma'am. So one other question I wanted to ask you was, two of your most celebrated works are Newton and Gangs of Wasseypur. So interestingly, there are many connections you can feel between those two films. Like they have a very weird, very unique, funny tone to them, even though the subject matter is very serious. They also take place in a kind of a localized, isolated rural setting. So, what was it? What was that transition from gangs to Newton for you? How did you manage it? How did you experience it?
See, like Nathan, I said that there's no transition. When you finish a film, you automatically, it's like you're living through a story, and then you move on to another story. You're finished. If that book is shut, and between Newton and Wasseypur, there was a considerable gap in terms of years, right? So, I mean, I didn't really feel the transition. What can be tricky now, since you brought up this question, is when you're editing films of two different genres. So there was a point of time where I was editing Bhosle, right? This film called Bhosle, Manoj Bajpayee's Bhosle, and that's a very intense film which takes a lot from you in terms of emotions and everything. I used to edit Bhosle in the morning, but in the evening I had to, because of deadline and delivery, I had to go and edit Veere Wedding. So it is actually, in terms of, I have to completely make that switch. So I cannot approach a Veeredi wedding like a Bhosle, and I cannot approach Bhosle like Veeredi wedding. They're two completely different movies. So that is when it is very difficult to make kind of acclimatize to that within a span of like in the same day. But then again, like it's like a palate cleanser. You work on something like Veeredi wedding, then you come back to Bhosle, then you're completely cleansed. You can give emotionally to that film, and then you go back, and then you again relax and have fun with this film. So you have to keep consciously doing that, to your mind. So yeah.
Oh, okay, ma'am. So, as I said, is my favorite film of yours. So, I wanted to ask you. Um, that film had such a exceptional performance by every actor, but the performance that stole the show for me was Raghuveer Yadav's. As you said, you had a lot of scenes for him. Uh, how was the experience of working with his scenes? Like he played that part with such masterful comic timing and such ease. It would have been pure joy as an editor to work with his scenes.
Every actor in the film was pure joy. I have to be extremely honest, and I tell this very to everybody that Newton was not one of my favorite scripts at all. When it came to me, I wasn't sure, like because it was very. And Amit, also the director, Masurkar, has a very weird way of explaining it. The most boring narrator. He was saying, and then they go into the forest and then they sit and then then nothing happens and then this comes. I'm like, how can you have to be excited about what you're doing. So I did not know what I was getting into till I saw the first set of footage that shot come in. And what really changed the game for me was Raghuveer Yadav and Pankaj Tripathi. These two characters, the way they were like tent poles, and Newton was in the middle. They were actually spearheading the film, and the way they balanced the humor and the chemistry between all the actors was amazing. They would improvise. They would, the body language, everything was so. And even Rajkumar, then he also kind of started adding his nuances. The blink that he does was all Rajkumar. He, added that little blink. He curled his hair. So all these committed actors, it was a complete joy to edit. I have edited actors who are so bad, and some films that are coming out, I cannot name them. They are so bad, and that makes me question why am I doing this still? It is, it is horrible, and but that's the thing. So now I take it as a challenge how to make this actor look good, right? I want to now. I'm working with some people. I can't name them. Star Kid again making his debut. I mean, I look at them. What is the point? Why are you there? Why do you exist? Don't act. But then now I take it as a challenge. Okay, let me see. Let me figure out how to make him work. Ah, so, so
Yes,
yeah,
ma'am.
it's a joy working. The actors are great. That adds to the whole thing.
Uh, yes, yes, ma'am. So one another celebrated collaboration of yours is perhaps the most celebrated is of Anurag Kashyap with Gangs of Wasseypur and Girl in Yellow Boots. Can you? We all will like to hear about what that collaboration was like. Can you share it with us?
What is it that you want to know? Because that's a completely different session in itself. But what I'll tell you what you want to know.
How did you end up in Gangs of Wasseypur?
Okay, I edited Girl in Yellow Boots before. So how did I end up in Girl of Yellow Boots is the question. So Anurag is a guy who, all full credit to him, he spots talent, very quickly, and there's something about him. And it's not that he had an editor. It's not that and he had a very good editor also. But again, I would say that this was completely by chance because I was editing advertising for a very long time, for 7 years, and I wanted to do a feature. So I Facebook messaged him. Those days there was only Facebook, and I Facebook messaged him, and I said, and there was also Orkut, but anyway, I don't think. Okay, so Orkut anyway. We Facebook messaged him and said that you know I really want to get into films. I didn't say I want to work with you. If you know of any project happening, please let me know. I don't mind editing films. I'm fried with advertising. So within 5 minutes, I think he had a fight with his editor, who was his ex-wife also. I don't want to get into that, but the timing was so apt that within 5 minutes he messaged saying, "Come to my office tomorrow. I'm doing a film." At that time, Yellow Boots was called Happy Ending. So I'm doing a film called Happy Ending, and I would like you to edit it. So that happened, and from there, what do you call, Yellow Boots happened, and then Wasseypur he was researching for, and that also automatically happened. So, but in Wasseypur, the thing was that I by the time Wasseypur got done, I had delivered two children of my own. So it was quite funny. But Anurag is a person who is, his mind is always buzzing. It's never at rest. It's just constantly moving, 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 moving. So he will call you for the edit at 5 a.m. and says, "I have an idea, we need to try this." Then finally I told him, "Listen, I don't think I can be called and summoned to the edit at any time you want. So here is the edit. This is a copy for you. I'm locking these video tracks. You are only to work with this. You're not to mess around. This is your copy. You do your whatever you want," because I taught him the basics of editing. This is in, this is out, this is trim. Whatever you want to do, you do. I will come at 9 a.m. at a decent hour, and I will sit and work with you, whatever you want me to do. But yeah. But and also Wasseypur, when he shot a lot of the scenes, he wrote on the set itself. So if you read the script, you don't know what is going on again. It's just all over the place. I think in that film only he knew what he was doing. Nobody else knew what was going on. In fact, there was a point of time in the edit where we got stuck. We did not know. I didn't know, and it was practically my first film. Forget this kind of a film. It's always better edited, I would say, by a person who knows this language the characters are speaking, who know the background. You cannot possibly expect a student, fresh, whatever, a first time editor to actually, have the maturity to edit Wasseypur. So there was a time when I was completely stuck. I thought how to go beyond this, because it's a vast script, it's a vast whatever, material is vast. Then Vikram Motwani came, and Vikram Motwani is the director of Udan and all, Lutera. He's a fabulous technician. He's a fabulous sound designer. He's a fabulous editor, fabulous director. So he came. So we took his opinion. He said, "Okay, let me try." So out of that collaboration was so amazing, because he came up with ideas. Then he removed some of the scenes. He hates humor. Vikram hates humor. He doesn't have a sense of humor in his entire whatever, a bone of sense of humor. But anyway, so he removed all the funny bits, like all the kasam paida karne wale ki, that that all entire that truck mein where he's announcing that whole Ramadhir Singh or whatever. He had removed stuff. He removed jokes. So then he said it's becoming so dry. So then finally, I think Anurag got angry. So Anurag said, "Abhi Vikram, now you don't come in the edit room. Now you get out. You figure." So then we again started editing, and we took some of what Vikram's ideas were there, and then we. So Anurag is a guy who is like thinking all the time. And the second part, my personal favorite is the first part. In the second part, I was very irritated because I think there were many times when there was no logic or reasoning for why one character is doing something. But that's Anurag. Anurag completely believes in instinct and spontaneity, and it somehow works. So yeah.
I can't imagine how he wrote scripts, scenes on the set, because every scene has tons of metaphors and symbolisms.
But that perpendicular, all those scenes were on the set only. Even the Huma who was sitting and doing the permission scene, it wasn't there in the script. It was all there. He quickly scratched it and wrote it, and he told the actors, "Okay, now go ahead and do it." And there's a goat that comes in. That goat also happened to be there. It wasn't shot. Like Rajiv saw that there was a goat. He quickly, moved the camera so slightly to include the goat in. So everything happened just by chance. I mean, yeah. There was one sad incident which happened in Wasseypur. It's in one of the shots actually. It was quite sad. There is a shot in the initial days when Sardar and Najma are married, and there's a full montage of them laughing, and with Piyush Mishra, they're going in the jeep on the bridge, and they are having chai. So there was an entire montage of that in one of the shots. The shot is still there. In one of the shots where the jeep is coming on the bridge, it's a very, I think, like a 5-6 second shot coming on the bridge. It comes in the song Keh Ke Lunga, in that in between. So the first assistant director, that jeep went and hit a pole and collapsed into the water, right? And the first assistant director actually passed away in that accident. So it was very difficult, but we had to use that shot.
That must have been very painful for everyone in the
Yeah,
set and
yeah,
everyone who was involved in the film.
and to see the shot also, no, live, which you were seeing, it happened. It's quite scary.
Yes, ma'am. So, ma'am, on a more generalized note, would you agree that the editor is the one who sort of, channels or sort of tames the creativity in a film? Because, like, the scriptwriter, they have their own idea, the director has his own vision of what to do, as well as the cinematographer. They all want the film to be their own aesthetic project. So, as an editor, how do you, sort of manage to curb their individual ideas and at the same time add your own flair?
So the idea is not to curb them, but again, whatever it is, stay true to the story that we have. So it doesn't. It is not about what the cameraman has done, or the director is doing, or what the sound guy might do, or what the musician might do. It is what is the story and what is it trying to say. What are the scenes which are totally redundant in the script? It might seem like you absolutely need them, but what is it doing in the overall graph of the plot and everything. So you approach it that way, and you also hope that your director is on the same page as you, because otherwise they can get very what do you call it? They can fall in love with their own stuff. So it is, and that is when a lot of cause of friction comes. But I tell myself, I try and push as much as I can. I tell myself that beyond a point, I'm not going to fight with the director, because it's eventually it's his vision. Um, like for example, I have to be very honest here. In Wasseypur also there was a scene where that I'm forgetting her name. Uh, who's a Bengali woman? Durga. Durga's washing clothes, and Manoj comes and washes next to. I mean, it's not doing anything, And I was thinking, why do we need this scene? Why do we need this scene, right? But Anurag said, no, that's my favorite scene in the film. I don't care if I release a film or not. The scene has to be there. But now when I look at it, I say, yeah, I mean, there's sometimes these decisions you take, you can't completely be stuck to your beliefs and thoughts. So you don't know what the scene. If you remove that scene, also, it'll still the film will work. But it's adding something which is indescribable. You don't know what it is. It's just there, and it's getting you that smile, right? So many times, even as editors, we are wrong. We are incorrect. We can't be stuck to. So just as the way the directors are, and cameramen are very in love with their shots and their work, we as editors also are in love with our stuff. They're saying, "Arey, this is such a beautiful cut. Why are you removing it? Don't remove it." We also go through that, but at the end of the day, like, we just hope that the team has the maturity and the you know vision to stay true to the story. Yeah, it's not easy, but yeah.
Yeah, I think filmmaking in general, I think that's why it's so difficult because there's so many people involved on just one decision.
Engineering is more difficult, trust me.
Honestly, though, filmmaking is more difficult for me. But yeah, I cannot imagine Gangs of Wasseypur without that washing clothes scene because it's one of my favorite scenes. And
Yeah.
if it would have not been there, I don't know. I cannot imagine that movie.
If it wouldn't have been there, you wouldn't have known about it. You wouldn't have missed anything in the film. Trust me. It
Yeah,
wouldn't have
yeah,
occurred the equation at all. But it's giving you that extra thing, what you don't know what it is.
yeah,
It is an iconic scene, but it's there,
yeah.
right?
There might be some more scenes that are not there, which might have added to the whole film at all.
Not really. In fact, Wasseypur is one of the very few films I don't think we've cut out much.
Okay.
I don't remember cutting out many things from it.
So it was perfect as it was. Good to know that. So on a little, I wanted to ask you on a much more serious note that the whole film industry in general is a bit, it comes with an instability, and it may be because of the competition and everyone is coming in new, and everyone's like almost talented, and it's the whole city of Mumbai and the film industry in general is very fast paced in nature. So it might lead to artists getting anxiety about if am I getting work or not? Am I going to get replaced? Am I going to get replaced, or am I indispensable? So have you had that kind of anxiety in your career? And if you have, how did you manage to go through it? And especially during the pandemic, a lot of people were very skeptical about the whole entertainment industry because everyone was shut down, everything was shut down. And how did you, if you have went through that, how do you deal with that? Just wanted to know that.
Yeah, but I don't know. That anxiety comes again. I mean, comes like there was a point of time. I think after, I think it was after Kalank, where for about almost a year I did not have any work. It's very difficult because then you start forming these demons in your head as you're not getting work because of a certain film, this that. You just persevere. Yeah, I mean, there's no other way. You just keep doing stuff. You keep working on things you don't really necessarily believe in or like. I mean, see, for every what do you call Newton, you also have a Viredi wedding, right? So there are things you don't necessarily, you take up work. I've done some nonsensical ad work also, which is like, but then you keep telling yourself, right, that it's work after all. You can't take it so seriously. You just keep at it. Just make sure that your ethics are right. You're working. There's no definite answer to this question. In the lockdown, fortunately, I had work because I was editing Haseen Dilruba. They had just finished, and we were editing at home because my husband also was there. So we were editing at home. So it worked out beautifully, and somehow because of the pandemic, um, uh, content creators started approaching, making films in a very different way. So the busiest people right now are editors. It's very difficult to find a good editor because they're always in, because of OTT shows and all these things coming out. There's always enough work for everyone as of now, which I hope it remains because it's a great thing. Um, yeah, but dealing with anxiety, it's there now. You have to just make sure you stay true to the work that you're doing, and and not judge the work you do. You just do whatever you can. I will also tell my team who comes to assist me and all that. I said, don't, whatever you get, right? You just keep doing. And the thing is, technology as such is changing so rapidly. Like what I started editing, the software that I started editing at that time used to be very exclusive only to editors. Now anybody can edit any, like movie maker, iMovie, Premiere Pro, you name it, everything. Like my 12-year-old son can edit in InShot. I mean, it's not an exclusive profession anymore. So yeah, I mean, it's just that what you can bring, what is it that you can bring to the story is what matters. Anxiety, I think, is there in every profession. I don't think it's only filmmaking.
So, ma'am, I think we'll take some audience questions. So you mentioned about the pandemic thing. So Pradyum is asking, in your opinion, where do you see the filmmaking heading? I think he's mentioning in context to the pandemic thing, after the pandemic.
What was this question? Sorry.
In your opinion, where do you see the future of filmmaking heading?
Very tricky. Which was the last film you saw, Pradyum, in the theater? You tell me. Did he reply?
Not yet.
It depends. It all depends on the audience. Right now, nothing is working for the Hindi film industry, and if it depends on what was the last film you went to see in the theater. So that answers your question. I don't know. I don't, what was the last film you saw, Nithin?
Uh, I didn't. Last film I saw in the theaters was No Way Home.
And what about Saloni?
I recently saw the Rajkumar Rao film Hit.
And Sarthak?
I watched. I forgot what I watched. I think I watched KGF 2.
So then I think there's still hope. You guys are still watching like films which are releasing now. So I don't think films as such. Yeah, the type of films that are going to be made mounted for a theatrical, people might will need to look at. But if it's like a niche film, which is like it's like a film which is an OTT experience, we will have to, I think, start differentiating that while making it. So I don't think films will completely be lost forever. It will still be there. You will still watch a Top Gun in theater as opposed to so yeah.
Ma'am, just a follow-up question. Which was the last film that you watched then that you actually enjoyed?
RRR.
RRR, yeah,
No, actually Top Gun. Yeah, Top Gun,
it's great.
Maverick, but I
Oh,
think RRR. Huh? RRR was one of the main films I saw, and I think recently I saw an anime movie, Jujutsu
oh, the
Kaisen or
Jujutsu.
something.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I go for movies, but then again, I pick and choose. I'm also very lazy, and it is a very expensive proposition going for a movie. I totally agree.
Uh,
So, ma'am, yeah, Saloni, go ahead.
Top Gun is free. Where is it free? A fire. Okay, sorry. I'm
yeah,
sorry. I'm
so
reading the chat.
yeah, yeah. So ma'am, on a more lighter note, which filmmaker would you want to work with, dead or alive?
I had no such ambitions. I'm working with every kind of filmmaker. Right now, I just finished working with Suraj Bajatia, and I feel my dream has come true. I can now retire happily because I've grown up watching his films, and it was the most amazing experience working with Suraj sir. Because when he started making films, I was in grade six, and I've actually grown up watching all that he's made, good, bad, ugly, whatever it is. But he is. So when I got to work with him, I thought it was like my dream come true somehow. I didn't realize that, I mean, I didn't have like a wish list, but I'm actually very, even if I don't work with somebody, I'm okay. I'm not too fussed.
That's such a great outlook to have on your
Yeah,
life, honestly.
because the more you start thinking and anticipating,
Hmm.
expecting, you feel disappointed.
Yeah,
And like since this whole career thing happened by chance, so I take it like that also. I don't want to start plotting, planning. Okay, now next whom do I approach? If it comes, great. It's just yeah.
Yes, ma'am. An audience question again. Ridhima asks, to all the student filmmakers out there who wish to create their own films one day, what would your advice be?
You spend time on getting your script right, your screenplay right. That is the most important thing, because whatever you feel is wrong with your screenplay, instinctively somewhere you're ignoring that little niggling thing, which is that will eventually come in the edit and stare at you and say that I don't belong here. So please keep making drafts, get opinions and feedback on your script and screenplay, because eventually a good script, a good screenplay will translate into a good film. And if there is something amiss, it's like a jigsaw puzzle. If there's one piece missing, somewhere, or one piece which doesn't fit, and you choose to ignore that, it will reflect in the film eventually. Even when you're editing, you'll realize this doesn't belong here. It's not supposed to be here. So I think screenplay writing, which is the most essential part of filmmaking, and for directors out there, I think once you shoot your film, you please need to take a 10-day break at least. Don't get into the edit room, because you need to start off on a very completely blank slate, because otherwise you come in and you start looking at the editor and say, oh, what have you done to this? Oh no, I've done such a bad job. Then it's a very nasty way to start your whole post-production editing process. So you just take that break and come back and start. Yeah, these two things I would say.
So, ma'am, one last question from me. You told you worked with Suraj Barjatia. Can you share? Is it possible for you to share any experience? With, I know it's the future project you were working on.
No, it's okay. I mean, it's actually it's a very, very, I can say that you guys should watch it, because a very different Suraj Bajaj film. It is not your usual song and dance. There are no dances. There are only about 3 to 4 songs maximum. That too is very there are no lip sync songs. Only one lip sync song. So it's a very different Suraj Bajaj film shot in Mount Everest base camp. So that's all I can say. But as it was a very humbling experience, because there is so much humility to learn from that man. It's like he comes as like he though he has his empire of his own, and he's a filmmaker who's been in this business for so long, and the entire Rajshri company has been there, but he comes to the set and he comes to the edit as if he wants to learn something new every day. And he takes you very seriously. If you're sitting in the room with him, and if you tell him something, he will take you extremely seriously, and he will note down what you're writing, and he will ask you again, now do you are you okay? So I mean, it is incredible. Like, I can do anything for him. I can edit whatever film he makes with whichever star cast, whatever, pray, name, bring it on. I'll do anything for that man. But he is an amazing person, because his work ethics is so good.
Okay, ma'am, that was great to hear. So, ma'am, we have another audience question. So, Divesh has asked, could you mention any few movies or series or particular montage which astonished you from an editing perspective?
I don't see anything from editing perspective as such. I think from an editing perspective, no, I don't think of it like that. But of late, the series that I enjoyed most was The Offer. It's on Root. I don't know if you guys have seen that, but if you guys are big Godfather fans, you should definitely watch The Offer, because it's an outstanding series which has been made very well. And if it's been made well, if you're enjoying that, I'm assuming it's been edited well also, because there's no way to judge editing. Okay, this is a superbly edited piece. No, I think if you enjoyed that, if for that time period, if you liked it, then yeah, it's been edited well. I
It's the
quite
it's the Dexter Fletcher series. No?
sorry.
It's directed by Dexter Fletcher, I think.
Yes, it is. Yeah. But it's a brilliant. I mean, what do you call fictionalized or whatever. Not all of it is fictionalized, but yeah, it's a remarkable series. I also enjoyed Worst Person in the World. It was a movie. It's yeah, Sarthak is, of course, as immersed in that movie, I guess. Yeah, that was a lovely
Yes,
movie.
it was.
I recently revisited The Wife on Prime. It's a very simple movie. It's not any. It's not a complicated movie, but The Wife, particularly because I want to do a Wife is a story of this Glenn Close, who is who's supposed to be the ghostwriter of her husband's books, but the way the editor stayed on some of the clauses when there's a dialogue happening between some completely two different people, but he's staying on this one character. So those are nuances which I quite liked in The Wife. Yeah.
Okay, one more artist question. One Abhinav is asking, So he's asking about what are your influences in terms of style and substance. Well, editing or filmmaking genre. What are your influences? Who influenced
I
you,
have
and
no
who you don't have it? You don't look up to any editor like who has been.
No, of course, you look up to editor, but you don't. I mean, if you have your own film, you have your own story, you have your own material. So it's not like influenced. It's not like I'm going to try that style in my. It doesn't work like that. It's not like one size fits all. Every film will have a different, what do you call, language that it speaks to you. You will not be able to. You get inspired, but influence-wise, no. I mean, uh, I get inspired by some of the techniques that people apply, but it's again it's for that film which they feel was right. They do it accordingly. They edit accordingly. But a lot of my contemporaries, I'm quite inspired by, and of course a lot of editors in in fact, a lot of editors down south I'm inspired by more than anything else, especially in Kerala. So I really want to watch the films and learn from them how they are able to, because suddenly this Malayalam film was exploded on the scene, and the way all these Malayalam films are edited, it's incredible. I wish I could do that. I don't know if I'll be able to do that. Maybe I don't know. So yeah, that's inspiration. So
Yeah, um, that's like I haven't seen any filmmaker who doesn't have any direct influences. Everyone is like very possessive about that. I'm influenced by this, and some people like to project it, but it's very different to know that you come from a, just you accidentally fell into this whole editing thing,
yeah,
and you just
by falling
persevered,
that
and
way.
it's like, oh, no,
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 I wish
not
I
at all,
could
not.
answers to give and intelligent sounding answers to give. That I'm influenced by this person, that person. I have a Pedro Almodovar poster behind me, which I did not put. It was because of my husband. But it's not that I'm looking at him and inspired
Oh,
constantly. No, it is what it is. It's like it's. I think the work that you're doing at
yeah,
that time inspires you to come up with things and solutions. More than the people around you. And of course, when you see somebody
yeah.
else's work, you are inspired about the way they have thought about an edit or or a director, the way he approaches a scene. So yeah,
Yeah, so ma'am, that's all the questions that we have as of right now. So that brings us to the end of this amazing enlightening session we've had with you. Thank you so much for taking your time out and interacting with us and answering our questions. And we're just a bunch of engineering students who like films, and we are very happy to get
don't
you
call
on
yourself
our.
such a bunch of students. Come on, you guys are like the hope right now.
Okay. Not me. These guys probably not me. But thank you for being so gracious and accepting our invitation. We wish you all the very best for your future endeavors. You said you're working with Suraj Vajatia, and I hope you get more success in your editing and your life in general. So
Thank
we
you.
hope to see you more of you and in quality cinema. Thanks a lot for joining us. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I just happened to see Instagram messages. Otherwise, I don't see Instagram messages. I just
It's
happened
it's
to see it. I mean,
It's actually come full circle because you started out collaborating with Anurag Kashyap via Facebook message.
Facebook. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Now people are messaging you on social media, so that's like a you come full circle now. That
And
must
I'm
be
very
great.
anti social media, so it's very difficult to find me.
Yeah, there are not a
I'm
lot of things, yeah, on your social media. We tried to research about you, but there's nothing on Instagram.
I don't know
But
That
what to
was
say. I wish I
beautiful.
had something nice to say. You also want to look intelligent, yeah, but you don't know what to say. So keep quiet
yeah.
only then. If you have something to say, then say it. Otherwise, then I'm happy stalking everyone. Don't worry. I'll stalk everyone.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you for coming. If is there anything you want to talk about that we haven't asked, you can please speak on that topic if you want. Uh,
Nothing. Please watch more films and yeah, keep watching films. I'm so glad. I mean, I'm very happy. I didn't even know that more and more colleges are having this film society, film club, and I'm very active under that. So that's really good to know.
yeah,
I don't.
yeah.
It's a very it's nice thing. Yeah. So
Thank you
thank you
for
for
the
having me.
compliments, ma'am. Thank you for
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so
being here.
much, ma'am.
All the
Thank you
best
for.
to all of you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
ma'am. We
Thank you,
wish you the
ma'am.
best also. Thank
Thank
you,
you
ma'am.
so much. Yeah. Bye. Bye.
I end this
Bye.
session.